your dad. I've got Dr. Scholl's in my Converse now, so I can jump up and down on stage. I'm getting old, but I can still get it up for you. So sit back and pass gas, cause it's time to relax for the Caffeine and Coffins podcast.
We got Parker Bradshaw today.
We do.
Let's give it up. We haven't done a podcast in a minute either, so welcome, Parker.
the last record I looked at was 5 months ago.
Yeah, shit, yeah. So
It's crazy.
Glad I could help break
basically
the
how
Yes,
stride.
thank you.
Basically how it runs, man, is we're going to pull some questions out of the coffin. The sexual tension's going to be real high
Very
the whole
high.
time.
It's palpable
That's why we
already.
usually put the guest between CJ and I.
Yeah.
You know?
Just to separate.
Just so you
My
can
hands get a
feel
little
it.
sweaty otherwise.
And then it'll most likely get derailed, I would say,
Every
at
time.
any point.
100%.
And that's why I have the edit button.
So Parker is a drummer, plays in some dope bands. Some of them are in Athens, and we're just gonna get rolling with that.
Bring it on.
Sick.
Well, let's start with, if I can, I want to start with the fact that, like, I don't actually know tangibly how many bands you're in, but I know that you'll go, like, out with Hembry and do a show, and then you'll do, like, a Way Past Cool show, and then Birds Like Fire comes back,
Yeah.
you know, like a Phoenix.
Rising from the
Ashes. Is there any other bands that we're missing here?
Well, so as far as like permanent staple in, I think those are the three primary ones.
What are
they? So Burns Like Fire, Way Past Cool, Hembry, and now it's the Infidels. It was formerly the Satan Sisters.
They couldn't let that one
You know,
get past the Apple
you know,
and
Zach,
the Spotify.
Zach had a change of heart. Actually, you'll find both of them. So we actually have almost like two different Spotify pages. So there's an Infidels page and there's a Satan Sisters page. I think it's really
Almost
a huge...
like pre-finding religion. And then
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
Those Infidels from Satan Sisters.
But I think similar to Facebook, I think it's a really big pain if you want to try to like let's say if
Yes.
you changed a band name but
Yeah.
you want to keep the page, it's a really big hassle to get things switched over.
Oh
for
yeah,
whatever
yeah.
reason.
You're gonna have to get a hold of a rep
Yeah.
probably over there.
Yeah. Then there are some bands
Like they
that
have reps.
I kind of fill in for like regularly when they're around and about. Like there's a band kind of based out of Atlanta called Black Daniels. I'll go and play with them, kind of more, you know, just rock and roll kind of band. And their singer is also in another band called The Last Responders. They're based out of Portland. So there was like a few weeks ago.
I was going to say, didn't you fly out?
They flew me
Yeah.
out and I did a weekend with them and hung
How
out
many
in
shows
Portland.
in that weekend?
We did 2. We were trying to do a third one, but it fell through at the last minute. So, you know, but it was a good time.
Dang,
Portland's a lot
that's
of fun.
sick.
Yeah.
That's you're moving about playing music. What do you feel like? Like that was one of my questions. So the same question's probably in there twice. So you've got three main projects, and then some fill-ins. Like, how do you? What is your level of involvement in each project, and how do you balance that out?
Sure. So, with like Burns Like Fire, Way Past Cool, I mean, full involvement. So I'm there writing songs, helping with arrangements. You know, fully committed. You know, those are my parts. Rehearsing regularly, all that kind of good stuff. Usually with fill-in stuff or something where I come in later. You know, if they want to do writing with me, recording with me, if they're working on new stuff, happy to do that. But they're more than likely going to have a lot more, you know, control and say so because they're going to be their songs,
Right.
And so I'll.
More
You're a
contact.
session artist for that.
Yeah, and you know, I think there's a give and a take with any of that. Where I mean, I've worked with people who it's more rigid, like this is what we want, this is what we want you to do, and other times they're like, well, we brought you in because
Artistic.
we know that you're a good
contribution.
drummer, so
Yeah.
I don't know, listen to it, do your thing. But if people have done like demos to songs, like when Way Past Cool first got started, you know, John approached me. He had just been doing some demos on GarageBand, and he put like a drum track to it. Some of that we used, some of it's stuff I wouldn't have necessarily done, but it sounded good with the song. So I'm like, well, yeah, we'll just incorporate that in there, and maybe I'll do something different fill wise or, you know, pace wise, but. You know,
What do you think about like so if somebody, you know, you always see like memes and stuff, it's like when the guitar player writes the drum track, you know, shit like that.
Yeah.
So what do you like 'cause I go through that with Scott a bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you feel about that when it's like, well, here's all, like, yeah, you could change the fill or whatever, but here's the feels. Like, here's what I want.
So I think it should both come with like a healthy dose of, working together. Okay, let me listen to that, and if it's something that's doable and sounds good, then awesome, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But if something clicks into my head, let me show you.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, okay, we'll scrap it. But let me just, from a drummer's perspective, let me show you what, clicked in my head when I heard that. You know?
I think that, and we were just talking about that downstairs pre-podcast.
Yeah.
CJ
Wasting tape that we don't have.
But yeah, it's like, you're gonna hear, like, hey, I'm bringing in a sick drummer to play these parts, but like naturally they're probably gonna hear something that maybe like I didn't hear when I was thinking that. But it's cool to hear from you too. That's like, well, sometimes it's like, that's not what I would have thought of, but it serves the song.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I'm like, let's serve the song.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is, 100%. I think one of the great, drumming sayings is, fills are for thrills, pocket pays the bills. At the end of the day, fills are cool, not always appropriate, but you kind of have to do what's right for the song. And a lot of the time that means just sitting back, and when you do those fills, they're going to be way more impactful.
Yes.
And really being in the studio more and more, that's what really helped me develop myself as a player, because you might think you're doing all these things and you hear the playback, you're like, that is
totally different,
garble, like I can't even hear what's happening. So you really learn how to get tight with the fills that you can do, what'll work in a recording session. And even if you don't do it in a recording session, that's what I love about live music is seeing what they do with the songs live versus maybe what they did with them recording.
Is there someone throughout the bands that you play with that you feel you have a deep connection with, that you can write with? Like guitarist, drummer, singer, drummer, is there somebody that you've got that chemistry with? Nope, really? The answer is no. We have no one.
No, I write my parts completely separate from them.
Yeah.
I just write drum parts, and I say, you write your guitar parts around that. It's usually... I think anyone that I'm really in a band with, especially whether it's a fill-in gig or if I'm a member of that band, I'm filling in for those bands, or I'm playing with those bands because I'm a fan and I'm a friend of those people.
Sure.
So I can pretty much get along with anybody, but I do think I grew up playing more with like the guitar players and writing with the guitar players. And not that you can't write with a bass player, but I think it's harder to kind of hear what the song is going to be like with just like a bass versus like the guitar.
100%.
Yeah, guitars are better. We get
like I did a jam the other day with a buddy, and we were kind of we're trying to put something together, and so we were trying out like a bass player, and it's me, a bass player, and a singer. And we're like, all right, we're gonna just see how we mesh together.
Interesting.
But it actually kind of worked out. We kind of just threw out songs. We brought a couple of covers so we could just kind of get a feel for one another. And even when we were sitting in the room, we're like, all right, well, what else do you know? And we wound up playing a Michael Jackson song, and we wound up playing not a Journey song. It was some other song, but we were just like, we know it well enough, and faked our way through it, and it was tons of fun.
I feel like the one band that probably could get away with the drums, bass, singer dynamic would be Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
I feel like Flea could provide basically the rhythm section.
Yeah.
And then John comes in later and is like, this is the cool shit that I wrote for you guys when I was alone.
Yeah.
So check it out.
And I've been very fortunate where, in a lot of the bands, at least guitar-wise, they're semi-multi-instrumentalists. So I've worked with a lot of bass players who can play guitar fairly decently, and sometimes they can play drums, kind of well. So they might have like an idea in their head, and we're like, all right, well, let's start there, and then we'll
make it better.
Expand from there. Yeah,
nice, very cool. All right, let's jump in.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's grab one.
Okay, we'll talk about songwriting for 2 hours.
Yeah, I'll just sit.
Yeah,
I'll talk forever.
We'll just go this
I
way.
want to make eye contact with you the whole time. We have to make like just unbroken eye
Nobody
contact.
blink.
All right.
Hopefully this is
It's
one
one
of
of
my
CJ's
sarcastic
questions.
ones. Can you even read that?
How much wood?
Okay, so this is okay. Are we going to see another Burns Like Fire album?
I think so. We're actually writing some new songs as we speak. Hopefully, we'll have at least one for the 40 Watt show. I think we'll
Nice.
look to bust out.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I was looking at it, not right before this, but a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I thought y'all had a couple albums, but it's like a single, or two singles, and then one album from 2015?
Yeah, so we had an EP that was maybe I'd have to look at. So yeah, we had an EP that was our last thing we did. That was Always in Trouble. Then we had a To the Ground EP that was before that, and then DFL was our full length, and then we had an EP prior to that as well.
Okay.
So about four.
But I think it's time.
Oh,
I think it's
100%.
time.
I
Might
would
be
agree
overdue.
with that. I agree.
Well, y'all have only, like, kind of come back to the scene in the last year.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Yeah, I mean, we never were like, hey, we're stopping with music or anything like that. We just kind of, Homer Simpsoned our way like back into the bushes a little
Yeah.
bit. Because, just life,
Trying to
people,
chill,
we had to, people got jobs, people got kids, people had things that, we needed to do. And that's kind of where I always found myself, in about 3 or 4 different projects. So, when this thing wasn't as active, there was another thing happening.
Yeah.
So I've always been, just kind of here and there and, always something going on.
I think that the bands like can go through waves like that, and that it's healthy. And like I always do, I'll bring it back to Blink-182 because I always fucking do. But when it's like everybody's like, we have to go nonstop. Some people aren't going to be able to take that.
Yeah.
And then it's going to cause like all the animosity, etc. But if you can just naturally accept it to go through those waves, then I think that you can have like a
and I think
chill
it's
vibe with your band.
And I think it's something very different when it's something that you're doing on the side versus hey, that's your job,
Yeah.
But I mean, when that is your job, I mean, that is the way you make money is by touring.
Right, yeah.
And I mean,
sure.
you're
Staying
always
in
going,
front. Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you miss out on life.
Well, I mean, also, like, let's just talk about the fact, if you're viewing it as a job, people typically change jobs every 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're sticking in a band, you got it for like 7, 8, 9 years.
Yeah.
It's amazing that you've not just
and
imploded.
We're going on 3 decades,
Yeah.
brother.
and you're not even like they have huge catalogs,
Yeah.
and you know that they're probably playing the same 15 or so
Yeah,
songs
what
for
people
the
want
most
to
part.
hear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, now it's a big decision. Like, what deep cut do we get to play?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And everybody wants something else, I'm sure. So,
Well, we know you want something else.
yeah.
What typically is your like pre-show day of prep
Yeah.
for yourself as a drummer? Like we kind of talked to some singers, some guitarists, like some of the food we eat, how often we eat before a show, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, what's yours?
So, I like to, I'm a big proponent of, I think similar to, like if you ever have to give like a presentation, something like that, I think if you look good, you feel good, you'll play good.
Yep.
And so, wax the head, shave, try
That's
to...
the head. We're talking about
Yeah.
the head. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotta relieve some
I'm
tension.
not sure what head we're waxing.
Yeah, the small one.
Okay.
But walk the dogs, hang out with my wife, pack everything up, tune everything up. I think that's a big thing is I'm tuning, making sure everything's good to go. If any cymbals need cleaning, I'm a big fan of doing that. I probably should have been a drum tech at one point in time. I've kind of played that role here and there for
Yeah, you're a
people.
total gear guy, man.
Yeah.
Like, when I first met you, I was like,
Yeah,
gear guy.
I'm a gear nerd.
out here cleaning cymbals, tuning
Yeah.
drums before
Yeah.
the show.
And
That's
packing
awesome.
things up when I get to a place, if I'm going to eat, it's got to be way before a show. I would rather be starving rather than be way too full. And it's probably something light. It's probably like half of a sandwich or like a salad or something, and then just hanging out, try to put myself in a good mood, have a couple of drinks, in BLF at one point in time, not so much anymore, but we used to have like a 2 to 3 drink minimum like 4-drink maximum before you play, because
that's good. I think that's
you want a
important.
loosey goosey. You all want to be on the same level.
Yeah.
But you don't want to get to the point where you're getting sloppy.
Yeah.
For
sure.
Dude, timestamp this. This is an important, like right there for bands. Like
Yeah.
everybody's got to be on the same level, and it
Yeah.
can't all be shit faced.
Yeah.
And you can't have one guy because every night the show is as good as who played
The
the
collective.
worst.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whoever, that's a. I think more bands need to discuss that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yeah.
hey,
Don't
how
be
are we
that
gonna
guy.
approach this? But loosey goosey is important. Like,
Yeah.
the edge has got to come off, but also like, like we are here to entertain. Like,
Yeah.
we got to fucking rock this.
And
The responsibility.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and depending on maybe the level of show or how long the set is, I might do some warm ups and
Reps.
do some stretches. I did yoga for like a very long time. I just think it's always very important to be able to be flexible, stay loose, and you know, especially the older that you get, everything starts to hurt after a while.
Yeah, it does.
And I think one of my favorite drummers also is a drummer from Incubus, Jose Palacios, and they talked with him about that, and he's like, you can do so much warm up and everything. After a while, it's kind of like whatever, but if he just tries to put himself in a good headspace. So hang around good people, tell jokes, put yourself in a good mood, and it'll translate.
I try to get everything, like all the packing and all that. I try to do that the day before. That way, day of, I can just like wake up, make some breakfast, chill. Like I'll watch some like comedy or something like that, and try to like not be like I'm running around, I'm fixing up shit like this and that, because already the unloading process and the setup and sound check, that's already a responsibility there. Try to keep it like so that day is as low key as possible.
100%.
I've not gotten there.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
still
tough.
like I am. I mean, I've kind of graduated. I've told you about this, like this struggle. I'm taking every show day off, the whole day.
Yeah.
I'm doing an early practice and then packing up several hours before so that I'm not like sweaty and like hurting from taking all the crap downstairs. But nonetheless, like a day before pack sounds way healthier.
And I may do like a like practice by myself, like maybe run through a few things, but one of my least favorite things to do is a rehearsal the day of a show, like a full band like run through. If you have to, you have to, but I'm always like, we do that and it's a great rehearsal, and
And a
like
terrible
that
show
should have been the
every
show.
time, every
That
time.
would have been the
It's
show.
like a
No.
scramble. It's
No,
like
no,
it's like a scramble.
Yeah.
I've done it. We've all done it.
Yeah,
The show
I'm
sucks.
talking about like me by myself
Yeah.
with the tracks,
Yeah.
and I'll like run through, like worry about a solo or worry about lyrics that I knew I struggled with, and we did practice 3 days before, stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
All right, we're gonna fire some quickly.
Let's do it.
All right. When did you get started in the Athens scene?
I moved up to Athens in 2006.
2006, and was that Burns Like Fire that you got started with?
So that was a band called Celerity. It was myself, Drew Watkins, he was on guitar player and sang, and then Ben Piazza, he was our bass player and singer. We were 3-piece.
Okay. Kind of music.
Kind of just rock, like alternative rock. And we had some different iterations of that, probably similar like Murder the Mood, where at one point we were a 3-piece. Josh, I've known him since I was like 15 years old. He eventually joined back up with us. He had been with us prior. And then we had another lineup change where we were like a 5-piece, and we had like a singer, a bass player, 2 guitar players. So that was the band that we moved
3
up.
to 5. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Shit.
A lot more you can do with that. And then, again, just a lot of schedules.
That's what she said. 3 to 5.
Yeah, it is.
I had a sub question for that. What was the scene like 2006? We weren't
It
here then.
it was different. So I came from Savannah, and we had some really cool bands based out of there that we would play with, but it was a lot more kind of more of a metal scene and kind of like doomy kind of scene. But
Here?
In Savannah.
Okay.
So we would play like the Velvet
Interesting.
Elvis, and that turned into the Jinx, and I'm really excited because they had to close like a few years ago, but they're coming back.
Awesome.
But a lot of bands like Jucifer and like Black Tusk and like all these different kinds of like more metal bands were bigger there. There was like somewhat of a punk scene. Like I remember seeing Bayside back in the day.
God, yes,
there.
I love Bayside.
But when I moved up here, the first band I think I saw when I moved up here was at Tasty World, and it was Music Hates You, and I was like, holy Lord! Like they were they were coming up. It was right before they kind of did send more paramedics and all that stuff. But you see them, and they are long-haired, big dudes, loud band. They had a really good following, and we just show up, and you're just like, wow, like this is a music scene, like this is a band. And then at the same time, Guff, they were a huge band here at the time. I mean, they were basically a working band. I mean, they were signed to Go Kart Records. They were doing records out in LA and all that kind of good stuff. So, I mean, it was a very good scene to jump into. It was more like jumping into the deep end with some really talented bands. And you're kind of like, I hope I get to play with these guys at some point. I'm very fortunate to say that now I've been able to play with all those bands, and I've been able to be in bands with a lot of the members of those bands.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be able to catch it if you keep throwing it like that, man.
You gotta be ready.
You gotta be ready for your
You
throwing
had
a
some
paper
coffee,
airplane
wake
at
up.
me. Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm not the one that placed
Yeah.
this where it's been placed.
All right, this is one of my more sarcastic ones. So, Birds Like Fire, way past cool. Which one do you like more?
Whew.
What a shitty question to ask him on camera.
Man.
I know that was.
I'm just
be
going
my
to say
opener.
yes.
We'll just go technical difficulties.
Yeah,
I'm going to go yes.
2
That's actually
hours
pretty-
later.
I'm so glad you asked that question, because if I
I've been
had to
reading
be
it.
honest, no. I'm just going to say yes to that.
Actually, yeah,
Good
let's
call.
cut that in. Oh, dude, that's just be like, oh, dude, that's an
easy.
easy.
Oh, that's an
answer.
easy one. 100%. Cut.
Definitely gonna do that. Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that.
That's fun.
Ooh,
Let's save that one for later.
Saving
It's
that
not really a
one.
question; it's a statement. I'm picking all
We're
the
still in
CJs.
And this
the
one,
warm
he
up.
just drew a dick and balls.
Yeah.
I don't think that's really
We'll
a
save
question.
that. Yeah, he hands it slides
You
it over to you.
recently got invited to play a show with Hembry and Infidels in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that experience.
So that was a show not too far from here. I think we might be back there at some point in time. There are a few spots in South Carolina that we get to play.
Where was it? Or in South Carolina?
It was not too far into South Carolina. It was probably only like maybe hour 20 minutes away from here, so not
Like
too
Greenville?
bad. Right outside of Greenville.
Oh, okay.
So there are a few spots. There's this place called the Radio Room in Greenville.
Yeah. I've heard
That
of
we used to play a lot.
They got rid of they changed the something there, like they're doing bigger shows.
Yeah,
now
they
or
have like
something that.
a much larger stage now. Kind of like what happened like with 529. Like 529 back in the day used to basically be this little
Yeah, I remember,
2-inch
yeah.
little thing like
Yeah.
off the ground. Now they've got like one of the best stages, like a
Kinda like
Caledonia.
Purgatory.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. But it was a fun little show. It was kind of more in like a dive bar-y kind of place. We played with Cancer Slug. So that band,
band names.
their singer and guitar player, he also plays guitar in Doyle's band, from the Misfits. And, they're a cool, like, kind of dark rock and roll band.
Cool.
And it was a great time. We had a
Nice.
blast.
Do you remember the name of the venue?
My wife was just wearing the shirt of the venue. I bought it because it had like a little dog on it, and I can't.
There's a couple
think
venues
of
I was
it
looking
right
at that
now.
were right, like there's one in Spartanburg.
Yeah, that's Ground Zero. We
Ground
played
Zero.
there.
Then there's like Trestle or something.
Tribble.
Tribble.
Street Pub.
Is that where y'all played?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I've hit them up before.
Always
I'll
in
hand this to
Tribble.
you, CJ.
Yeah. Sure. I'll pull this. Let's see what we got. Let me pull one of Dan's. He's got him on a nice
Need to have
yellow
like a
paper here.
communion basket.
Yeah. We already talked about
Yeah,
that.
we have some of the
Yeah.
same questions. We
We
always
do.
Great
I love
minds
it.
think alike.
I love it. Mohawk? Question mark?
Yes. We bringing her back one day, or where we at?
If nature allows me to,
The little
sure.
glue stick.
I
Come
would
on, we
love
can
to
make
That's
this
Dan's
happen.
question.
Yeah.
Mohawk question.
Great.
mark.
Thanks, Dan.
I could probably pull off a Byhawk now. So do like
Ooh.
Bring it in, dude. Yeah.
do the dude, fire
Some
starter.
flock of seagulls type shit or something.
Yeah, 100%. When I had the hair, I had fun with the hair.
Yeah. I saw a picture with the Mohawk the other day. So.
Yeah. When we would tour, I would probably keep it up for 3 or 4 days at a time, and you just sleep on your side, and
Good amount of
just-
glue in there.
yeah, some egg yolks and some glue and whatever you got to throw up in there.
Nice. I
Whole
love
waffle
it,
maker to hold it in place.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Grab another one, CJ.
Ooh, I got it. Yeah, I got it. So you've got some symbols that you are sponsored by, correct? Tell us about that. How'd that happen?
So the company is Saluda Symbols. They're based out of South Carolina. South Carolina, or is it North Carolina? South Carolina.
The Carolinas.
Yeah, the Carolinas. Sorry.
The USA.
The USA, made in the USA.
They're on Earth. They're an Earth brand.
They're in the southern
Rare
southeast area of the U.S. But yeah, so that kind of came about from my buddy Aaron Stagg, who was playing a Music Hates You at the time.
Yeah.
He was using their cymbals. Like anything, drums are a very expensive instrument to play. So, you got drum heads, you got sticks, you got cymbals, you got all kinds of things that you're breaking and having to replace all the time. And they're a company that, what really turned me on about them was the sound in general and the quality of them.
Yeah.
Because they're more of like a boutique company, and you think of these big companies as being the end-all, be-all.
Right.
And
Sibians, all that, yeah.
and they're really a custom maker. So, really, if I am looking for a sound, again, I'm a gear nerd, so I'm like, this is like how much it weighs, like this is what kind of cymbal it is, this is what kind of sound I want. You can send them that information. They'll make it for you. Like here recently, like the last couple rides they made for me, if you're into pop punk or any of that stuff, Travis Barker, he used the Sweet Ride on most of their records, and it's a great diverse cymbal. You can crash on it. It's got ping. It's got a bell. So I'm like, hey, make me a Sweet Ride, and
Nice.
they made me a couple variations of that. And they won't send them out until they are sounding good. I would say that's kind of the trade-off is, Zildjian, you can go into a store, whatever, order it, and get it to you. Oh, dear God.
Don't listen to me.
And with them, it's going to take a little bit more time,
Yeah.
but, it's probably half to 3/4 of the cost, and you're going to get exactly what you want. And they also have great programs. Like, when I first got involved with them, I sent, like, a whole bunch of cymbals to them that were cracked, and we had a gap in tours, so I had spoken with them beforehand, so I just sent them a bunch of cymbals. They'll give you credit, or they'll just send you a check.
And just melt them down.
And yeah, and they made me a set for, not much, because I was using some of that as credit to go towards it. And they have a great edge warranty. So at this point, my ears are very attuned. I can tell when a cymbal is cracked.
Yeah.
And the crack might be like a very little bit, but I can kind of just hear it, and it sounds a little deader, or more dead, whichever one. But and I'll send it back. They'll send me another one. They'll fix it.
Awesome.
It's got a lifetime warranty. So
How many
salute
years have
them.
you been with them?
8, 9,
Oh, that's
something like
solid.
that. Yeah.
Pitch that name one more time.
So Saluda Cymbals. That's
Saluda Cymbals.
S-A-L Saluda
Yeah, one ready
U-D-A.
there. Here you
Yeah,
go.
Saluda.
S-A-L Luda symbols.
So S-A-L
Luda. Yeah. No, those are the ones that you sold a couple of those to Scott, right? Yeah, he loves those symbols.
Yeah,
They have a
they're
nice
awesome.
sound. I don't know a ton, but I could tell the difference when he got those symbols for sure.
Try
Cool.
to help out.
Yeah, hell yeah. You're I use you as a resource sometimes. I'm like, hey, I wonder
Yeah.
about this venue, and you. It seems like over your years in music, you've been good about picking up contacts and maintaining relationships. Because I always view you as somebody like, I bet Parker has a contact over here. I bet Parker knows someone over here. You hooked me up with that show at Boggs.
Yeah. So yeah. We've over the years we've met a lot of great people. I think
Keep in
Josh,
touch with people. Over the
keep
years.
in touch with people and
Keep
don't
in
be a
touch.
dick.
Yeah, keep in touch.
Those are two big
Bumper sticker.
Try to
those
give
are
and
two
try to give
big
and take
things right
too
there.
as much as you
Yeah,
can.
be professional. Show up on time. Have your set. Again, don't be an asshole.
I got a bracelet on that says "Don't be an asshole." It's from Here Be
that's-
Monsters.
I love
Don't be
it.
an asshole. Simple.
What a pretty bracelet.
Yeah, isn't that gorgeous? I think
like it.
their drummer Dan.
Sparkly, so he looks at it often.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a good
I'm
reminder.
reminded to not be an asshole.
Yeah.
It's like
what
when
do you
go
got,
out.
Siege?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you're right.
Oh no, you're good.
What do we
Be an
got
asshole,
here?
man.
Well, we already talked. Actually, this is totally in line. So continuing on, what type of drums do you play, and then what's your stick of choice?
Okay, so stick of choice, that's easier. So that's Vader 3A fatback with a wood tip. I've been using those forever and a day. It's kind of just right in between a 5A and a 5B. That's for pretty much all the drummers out there. But great stick. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. love that one to death. I'll probably always use that stick.
Nice.
Drum wise, I've had a few different drum kits over the years. Currently, like with Way Past Cool, I'm using a Yamaha kit. It's kind of like a matte surf green birch kit. It's a stage custom. Just seemed very, very appropriate for that project.
Surf green, dude. That's the color, man. That's the quintessential pop punk color. Surf green.
100%.
Thank you, Mark and Tom.
I've loved that kit. It sounds great. I've always wanted a Yamaha kit. They just make very solid drums, very solid products. Then I use Gretsch as well in some other projects. Those have I have a bigger bass drum with that one, so like a 24-inch bass drum and all that kind of
Burns Like
stuff.
Fire kit?
Yeah, that one I'll usually use that one for Burns Like Fire, for Hembry, and things like that. I just wanted a kit too. The Yamaha one has a smaller diameter kick drum, just gives you a lot more response and is much punchier. So just wanted to go that route. But I've used Ludwig's. I've also got a custom kit called the company was called Bootleg Drums. They were kind of based around this area at the time, and they made me a killer drum kit, so I use that every now and again. I've used all kinds of different drums, but some of my favorites are like that Yamaha, Ludwig, Gretsch, kind of that wheelhouse.
Yeah. Do you play other instruments, or you just always been drums?
No, just always drums. I tried to pick up guitar once, and I think I wound up selling that guitar to Cregan, our other guitar player in Burns Like Fire and bass player in Resident One. But my hands just don't want to do that. They just want to do that. So, it would probably make me a way better musician if I could play guitar, because sometimes I do have ideas and I can't really express those ideas.
It's like when the guitarist is like, dude, can you do that fill? And boom, boom, boom. That's
but could you do da-na-na-na-na?
But I can't tell you what notes, or need to do a thing, but
That do the crow hands, the bear claw again.
It's where your hands doing that.
But it is sick though. Like if you have ideas like that, and if you're working with a drummer, or vice versa, a good guitar player, that you can if you can melt that idea and then you see them actually bring it to life. Yeah. There's there's just a feeling you're like, fuck, yes, that's what I'm talking about.
And usually, luckily, it's like, hey, just do what you were just doing there. Do that again, but can you maybe do it in this kind of a rhythm or something?
That's like a magic moment. When you have a vision that you technically can't play, but you can get someone to do it, and you're like, oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's a cool moment. Yeah. Grab another one, CJ.
Grabbing another one. Yes, dear. All right. Okay, who's your favorite drummer or favorite inspiration? You did kind of talk about Incubus already. Is that kind of the final answer for you?
No, I don't have... I knew this would be a question that would come up, but I don't have...
we can just move on then.
No. I don't have a favorite drummer. If nothing else, I just kind of get into moods. Yeah. If nothing else, but I mean, some of my favorite drummers from then and now... Adam Willard, he's a huge inspiration. Such a solid guy. I mean, he's a clutch drummer as well. Where it's like you need a guy, he's
drumming for Alkaline Trio now.
Yep, he's drumming for Alkaline Trio, and he did it at one point in time before. He's actually in one of their music videos from back in the days. But he's drummed with Social Distortion, Rocket from the Crypt, Against Me.
He was on the first two Angels records.
The Offspring. Yep, he was.
I loved his drumming on those records. Yep. So they were so marchy and anthemic and they were
he's a crazy good drummer. Travis Barker, love Travis Barker naturally. Trey Cool, he's an amazing inspiration. When we did the cover show in December, we were like, we're gonna do Green Day. I'm like, well, can't mess this up. That's one of my favorite drummers right there. Morgan Rose, he's in this band from out of Atlanta called Seven Dust. They're like a more metal band. Jose Palacios. I love older drummers, Stuart Copeland, John Bonham, Ilan Rubin. He's a big one. He's a multi-instrumentalist. He played drums for Paramore for a long time.
Again,
Nine Inch Nails.
Again, he was on some Blink or some Angels records.
Yep, Nine Inch Nails, Angels and Airwaves, but he also has his own band called The New Regime.
Where
he sings and plays guitar. But
he's multi.
Yeah, he records everything. He's like a little Dave Grohl. Taylor Hawkins.
Nice segue.
That was good.
Yeah, I know. I just on the fly too.
You know who's a cool drummer, man? Is I forget. I don't know his last name. Yuri from MXPX. Mm-hmm. That dude's a solid ass drummer, dude. You watch like playthroughs, like, dude, this dude is fucking sick.
Well, it's kind of like Pat too from like Weezer. Like it's nothing like super showy, but it's exactly what it needs to be. And I know actually Adam, he played drums in a band called The Special Goodness, where Pat, he was doing guitar and singing and stuff like that. But yeah, lots of drummers, and I'm sure plenty that I didn't name, and yes, I like them too.
Yeah. I like all drummers.
Yeah.
All right, grab another one, CJ, or throw me one. I'll catch it.
You gonna catch it?
Do an appropriate throw, as I would do, but damn it. It was, listen, it was intercepted.
Okay.
Intercepted. All right. What artist or band are you into right now?
So right now there's like a couple bands I've been listening to a good bit. One is Odd Robot. They're kind of a cool, just kind of punk rock and roll kind of band. I've been listening to them. Mercy Music, they're a pretty sweet punk rock trio. And I've been listening to who is it? I think it's Pommelmoose, but they're kind of like they're very like low key kind of band, but they do a lot of like covers and
I know them.
Yes,
mashups. Yeah, they did a cover of oh shoot, what is it? I Think We're Alone Now.
Yeah.
Yes, it's so good.
And come to find out, I was just doing like a little bit of thing because they did a kind of a breakdown. There's a really good video on YouTube where they do a breakdown of like their whole operation and their process. And when they got to the money part, they're kind of like, okay, we're going to kind of stop here because we're in a very different situation than a lot of bands. Come to find out, the guy who's got like a beard, he does a lot of the synthy kind of stuff. Yeah. He was like CEO and like one of the founders of, I think it was like Venmo or something.
Okay.
So he's worth like almost like $1 billion.
He's doing all right.
Yeah, he's doing just fine. So, but the cool thing about that is they get to do a thing where they get to make music that they like to make, and they get to, you know, incorporate a lot of musicians they love, and they get to pay them well. Like they get to make really high quality stuff. They work like really quick, really crazy. But, you know, they get to work with people they want to work with, and they get to pay them what they probably actually should be paid, which is awesome.
Did they mention anything about, you know, just getting the rights to do covers of that stuff? That's always been like such a hang up for me.
Yeah, not necessarily, but I mean, it might be kind of to the point where they're big enough to where it's kind of like there's no such thing as bad promotion, or you
were asking me about cover stuff. DistroKid does offer it. Mm-hmm. And I know Lander offers it now too. So it's like it's like you either got to pay for like at least the mid-level version of the distribution, or like an extra $15 one-time fee or something like that, or maybe it's a year or something like that.
Yeah, so. And I think like for the most part, I mean, you really don't have to worry about that until I guess it hits a certain echelon. Sure. Which even if you kind of gotten in trouble for that, like no such thing as bad publicity, you know. If some band's going to make a big deal out of a very small band, like playing a song that they like or whatever, and it's one of their songs, then, you know, that's one way, I guess, to get noticed.
Yeah, for sure. All right, grab another, CJ.
Grab another. Oh, we're getting low. We got one. Not that we can't come up with our own questions, but, you know.
Gotta start asking y'all questions.
No, please don't. Oh my God, you already had pre-show rituals set up?
Yeah, I did.
You bastard.
So that was it?
That was it, man.
Oh, that's good, man. I think we got a lot of stuff in there. We're at like 40-something minutes, so I think we're good.
Solid.
Crazy.
Well, most of that we can cut out. Yeah. Of our nonsense.
Parker Bradshaw, Way Past Cool, Burns Like Fire, Hembry and the Infidels.
Yes, sir.
Many other bands. We're going to feature another local band, and unfortunately, we've already featured Way Past Cool. We need to do a Burns Like Fire track.
Yeah, we should.
I'll send you one of those.
Send us one.
Noise Mountain.
Noise Mountain.
They just dropped. They just dropped a new EP, and this song is called Azaleas. We're gonna play it in a minute.
Yep.
It's dope.
Thanks for watching.
Cheers.
The planet turns, the whole world burns. Time is running out, but so far it's been a good year for